I think when I have an essay to write, I start about maybe 2-3 weeks before it's handed in.
Firstly, as obvious as it is, just read the question, because the questions are fairly broad and you have a lot of different research coming in different angles, so definitely read it first and then think of which approach you want to take.
I think when writing an essay, it's very important to know who your audience is, so that helps you figure out the language you need to use and the style it needs to be in.
You need to have a clear structure that's well thought out, and the better that structure is, the higher the mark's going to be. Secondly, you need to, as a result of that, know where your essay is actually taking you, and therefore where your research needs to go. So there's a lot of reading that needs to be done, there's a lot of searching for books that needs to be done.
That will go to the various databases and the library, and I will look for relevant sources. That will include me doing a long list of those sources and then evaluating those sources basing on introduction or abstracts. So I will remove some of this stuff. And second stage would be me going through more deep into the literature and try to make some notes out of what I'm reading, some evaluation points.
I usually start gathering a list of papers and books that I want to use in my essay, and I store them in a software called RefWorks. The university at Leicester helps you learn how to use it, but it makes it really easy. You get to a site just by a click of a button.
I do plan, obviously I do all that research, and what I do is I make notes from each study that I read and then write out the key points from each one and sort of amalgamate that into like a crib sheet of research, I guess, and then just go straight into the writing.
So yeah, for me, structure, you structure it out in terms of, I always try to put my strongest point first. My intro is just really just a signpost what's going to come up, and it should have a structure of just revealing what my point of view is and the different arguments. Then I have my paragraphs, which I don't, at the beginning they're not paragraphs, they're concepts. And then I see if they're weak concepts and strong concepts, and only the strong concepts make it to the final part of the essay, with the conclusion that summarizes everything up.
I tend to write a first draft and then I'd go through and read it, and you find that there's some things that you've missed out and I need to put this in, or sometimes it's as well determined by the word count. I write my first draft and it's too long or too short, and I need to add some more stuff in or take some out. And then I usually get my dad or a friend to read it and make sure it makes sense, and there's no grammar errors or things like that.
You know, it's always a removing, it's a bit that you have to do, because often people overrun with their writing, so removing, then obviously orthography check, then maybe you would like to have a couple of days off, 1 or 2 days, and then come back to your work and look at it with fresh eyes, and then maybe you will make some minor changes. But as you go along, the changes will be getting smaller and smaller up to the point that you have a polished diamond that you can hand in.